Multitasking is dumb. It's something I've been claiming for quite a long time on the channel, or at least on both channels, okay? Unless, of course, you want to do a whole bunch of things at a suboptimal level, you should just focus on one thing at a time and move along appropriately. Otherwise, delegate tasks that are important at the time. Otherwise, if you start to multitask and you think that I'm a great multitasker, well, you're just doing a bunch of things at 60% of your capacity. Congratulations, you're not doing anything timely or importantly. You're just seeming to be more busy than you actually are. You're just setting up different excuses as to why you're not as productive as you could be if you just focus on one singular thing at a time. It's been something that I've been claiming for a while. I've been aware of these studies and these exercises as well that's been out there in order to sharpen productivity, and I've known that multitasking has been a farce for a long time, but some people are still out here thinking that it's the way to accomplish the most. Well, you're dumb. How many of us were raised singing the praises of multitasking? That shining beacon of productivity we were all supposed to aspire to. But the ugly truth is that multitasking is not only bad for our brains, it turns out we are simply not designed for it. Most of us spend a large part of every day multitasking, whether it's listening to the radio while making breakfast, reading the newspaper while we eat, or scrolling through our Instagram feed while at work. We are routinely doing several things at a time. Or like when I edit up all of these videos and create all of the content, the descriptions, and make the thumbnails and all that other goofy, happy crap that you need to do in order to make proper content for the videos that get put up. I can't listen to anything, okay? When I'm editing, okay, the mindless editing and stuff, yeah, I'll have something intellectual on in the background, mostly because just clicking a couple of different times and making little edits and cuts out of things isn't very knowledge intensive, okay? But as soon as I have to start being creative once again, everything just has to be turned off. I've basically got to be in a silence dome in order to just focus in on things. Otherwise, it's lackadaisical and it's suboptimal and it's just below my normal performance. More synonyms for the exact same thing. Anyways, multitasking seems like a great way to be productive by doing many things at once, but what is actually happening is that we are switching our focus from one thing to another because the brain simply can't do more than one thing at a time. In fact, research shows that multitasking reduces our ability to focus, increases levels of stress, and causes us to make more mistakes. Yep. Recently, there's been a lot of research investigating the functioning and processing limitations of the brain. An interesting article, published in the journal Cerebrum in 2019, summarizes several interesting findings, including that we tend to overestimate our ability to multitask effectively when, in reality, there is almost no correlation to our actual abilities. Research has shown that the brain is suited to only do one thing at a time, and multitasking places a burden on several important systems. Research shows that multitaskers complete tasks more slowly with less efficiency and are more easily distracted. Yes, exactly. Oh, I can do that at the same time. No, I can take down notes and I can also listen to this and I can also field calls at the same time. No, you can't. You can't write an email and hold a coherent and cogent conversation at the same time. It doesn't work that way. That's why you're always finding yourself, if you're trying to do that at the same time, if you're trying to talk on the phone, you're trying to send an email, one thing will lead to another, okay? Either you're going to be trying to type the body of your email and you're going to start typing out what you're saying on the phone or what you're listening to on the phone, or you're going to start to recite what you're trying to write down on the email. It happens to everybody, and it's another sign that multitasking is worthless. It also is interesting to note that some correlations were found between chronic multitaskers and certain personality traits, an example of which that chronic multitaskers tend to be more impulsive, although it is unclear whether people with certain traits tend to multitask more or if heavy multitaskers are actually rewiring their brains. Be less optimal? Yeah, makes sense. In studies conducted at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, fringe schools, scientists present the dangers of multitasking, particularly in the context of driving. Yep, everybody knows this one. That's why there's laws against it. When the brain switches from one task to another, it is using what neurologists refer to as executive function. They are cognitive processes used to determine how, when, and in what order tasks are performed. This happens in part in two goals: goal shifting and rule activation. Goal shifting happens when we decide to switch to doing something else. Rule activation is when the brain moves its focus from the information needed to accomplish the present task to the information needed to accomplish the new one. When psychologists call task switching costs, there are negative effects associated with switching from one task to another. Yeah, you have to reset when you flip from doing one thing to another, and you have those setup tasks or setup points every single time. That's why you should just focus on one thing, drill down until it's done. Anyways, they result in a decrease in accuracy and increase in the time it takes to complete the task. All these processes take fractions of a second, but the time add up when we are continually switching back and forth, and can become potentially dangerous when we are doing something when our undivided attention is critical, such as driving. Yeah, but I need to adjust the volume, and I need to look in the rear view mirror, and I need to apply some lip chap, and I need to, I don't know, do my hair, and I need to worry about what's happening in the back and why the dog isn't staying on the seat, and oh my god, there's an oak tree. MIT findings explain that our eyes are only able to see clearly at the center of our vision, and our brain fills in the rest of the information in our visual field. Interesting. The average adult is only able to perceive or process 3 or 4 things simultaneously, and cognitive performance decreases when we try to process. Very interesting. Multitasking may be benign when we are doing something such as folding laundry or watching TV, but it can be catastrophic amid tasks where fractions of a second matter, like driving. Again, driving. The study estimates that distracted driving accounts for 50% of all accidents on the road, and the rest of them are made up of women and Asians. An Eastern view of multitasking. In Eastern medicine. Funny you should mention that. The harmful effects of multitasking are well known, but their source is perhaps unusual. Multitasking is seen not to affect the brain per se, but the spleen, alright? The spleen gets a little attention in Western medicine because it is of vital importance in Eastern medicine. The spleen is located in the upper left quadrant of the abdomen, in the important part of the immune system, the largest lymphatic organ in the body. It's often removed because of some interesting situations. In Eastern medicine, the spleen and stomach are the main organs of a digestion. But this isn't digestion in a traditional sense. The spleen and stomach digest and process not only foods and drink, but all the stimulus that comes in through our sensory organs. Now we're starting to get a little too hippy-dippy for my tastes. So while Western science describes multitasking based solely on its effects in the brain, the important to recognize that what happens is in the mind has cascading effects in the body. In the Eastern medical view, the spleen has a significant role within the process. Worrying and overthinking both are associated with the spleen, and overindulgence in either impedes the ability to perform important functions in the body. This isn't unlike the discovery that stress shifts the body's biochemistry in profound ways, rousing different hormones and activating or shutting down different processes. Similarly, a spleen weakened from other factors, such as too much external stimulation, makes a person more susceptible to worry, which can develop into things like anxiety and depression, commonplace in the modern world. In the Eastern view, one of the best ways to support the spleen and ensure that its process various stimuli properly is by doing one thing at a time and doing it with mindful intention. This allows the spleen to focus all of its energy on the task at hand effectively without waste. One way to support this is by reducing other loads on the spleen. For example, you can reduce the digestive load by eating soups. I hate soups. These are warming and take a little energy to digest. All right. There's also a reason they are prescribed when they are sick. Yeah, broths, okay, bone broths, that's fine. As our bodies need to conserve energy from fighting off invading pathogens. That's fine. Breaking the habit. So what if you're a chronic multitasker? I can handle all of this stuff. I just take an exponentially longer amount of time to accomplish anything. Okay, sure, whatever. Cope harder, I guess. Scientists suggest that some ways we can break multitasking habits. First, number one. First thing to do is evaluate all the things you are trying to accomplish and prioritize them. Then simply do the most important thing first and try to allot the specific amount of time to do it, like an hour or two, before moving on to the next task on your list. But what you should be doing before that is figuring out all the nonsense you do in a day and then just start to strike off the unimportant stuff. Well, I need to do all of that stuff all the time and my day's so busy. Just organize your life first and foremost, and then prioritize things like the good scientists have found out here. Schedule a specific time of day to do things like checking your email, looking at social media, and any other thing that has a strong pull on your attention. That will change things exponentially, okay? Because there's a lot of dead time and dumb time that you do just doing useless stuff like, I don't know, scrolling. Yeah, like they said here, Instagram. No, sorry, that's one of the many other articles I was reading today. But just social media in general, worthless waste of time. So allow your mind to relax, knowing that it will do those things at a later time, a specific time. Putting cell phones and other devices that cause distraction in another room so you can help break the habit of multitasking. Removing the temptation to check your email, look for notifications, help your brain to focus, or your body to relax and get you more productive. Yep, first and foremost, they should be out of your bedroom if you can do that. Get them out. Get them out. There's also, okay, another topic for another video, little electric waves that are emitted as well that can also disrupt your sleeping pattern. But yeah, oh no, I use my phone as an alarm clock. Buy $20 alarm clock. I've had the same one for that was $40, and I've had it for I think about a decade at this point. So it also doubles as a Bluetooth speaker, which is kind of fine. Anyways, multitasking seems to be a natural byproduct of living in a fast-paced environment and having a wealth of information at our fingertips. While this is a wonderful benefit of technology and living in the information age, balancing how much we take in at any one time can prove a little more challenging. The fact that science is discovering that this simply isn't good for us and that the benefits we feel from doing many things at once simply doesn't exist may encourage us to getting back to doing just one thing at a time with attention and focus. After all, it seems to be the way we are designed to be. And also, if you want to, even just looking at a productivity frame of mind, okay, if you're trying to multitask in order to get the most stuff done possible, well, also just read this in the context of if you focus on one thing at a time, prioritize what you need to accomplish. If you have a whole list of things that you need to do in a day, you start knocking them off one step at a time. Guess what? You're going to be more productive because you're going to have more energy to focus on one thing. You can focus in, you can be laser sharp in your precision in getting that one task done, moving down the list, okay? Knocking things off as you go. That's how you be more productive. You don't have to take my word for it. You can just take those eggheads from MIT as well. That's what their finding on this was. So if you don't believe some dink with a microphone and a webcam up here in northern Alberta in Canada, well, you know, trust those fringe scientists at Massachusetts Institute of Technology. But what have they ever done? With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. Why don't you follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.